Okay. Te utu o te haka momori, the price of suicide.
Kei te whare tapu o Ngāpuhi, nau mai, haere mai, tū hono mai ki tēnei wānanga o tātou e kia nei ko uia te pātai. This is what therapy aims to do. Welcome to this podcast of Uia Te Pātai, where we look at the experience of suicide and mental health well-being within our whānau. He uri koe nā rāhiri, mokopuna nāku, nau mai, haere mai. Tēnā rā tātou, tēnā rā kōrua, aku whanaunga. Ko piri mai ki tēnei kaupapa, ki tēnei podcast, ki tēnei pai kōrero, e kia nei ko Uia Te Pātai. Me te hara mai, me te mauria mai, i o kōrua wheako, i o kōrero, i o kōrua kōrero, e hanga nei ki tēnei kaupapa nui o tātou, i roto te tautokerau. Tēnei mea, te oranga o te tangata o tira tā ki te whakamomori. So nā re mihi kaha ana kia kōrua, mohe ana kia kōrua, ngā kōrero i o kōrua whakapapa, e ko tēnei wāhanga, ko ati kia kōrua ki te whakawaha, ko wai koe, no hia koe.
Kia ora. Kia ora Heemi, kia ora Kaz. Mihi ana ki a koe mō tēnei whakatū wheratanga o tēnei kaupapa ki a mātou, anō hoki te whānau, ko Fetuao whaawai tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no ngā iwi eri mā o Muriwhenua, te Aupōuri tūturu, anō hoki Ngāti Hine ki tērā taha o maungatani whā, Ngāpuhi nui tonu. He mokopuna au, he māma, he tuakana, he taina. Kia ora.
Lucas.
Kia ora Heemi, mihi ana ki a koe. Ko Maioha Harawira-Hack tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei no Muriwhenua, no ngā iwi erima, no Ngāpuhi nui tonu. Ai, oti rā te katoa o Aotearoa, but that's another story. Ai.
Ka pai. I guess, to put it quite plainly, I guess, in terms of our kōrero today, I'm really just open to your guys' experience of life after loss. Life after loss and what that means for your guys' journey, your guys' own grieving stories. And maybe as a starting point, we don't have to start here, but talking openly, I guess, about what life has looked like since a loss inside your family.
Yeah, kia ora. I think I te tuatahi, me kōrero ki te whānau e whakarongo ana, like, ko te tino mana ko tēnei kia mau te mana o tō mātou nei tuakana, tungāne, anō hoki te mana o te whānau. E hara tēnei kōrero o tēnei kaupapa he mea māma, he mea mamae, he kōrero mamae. Engari, kei konei mātou hei hoatu a taonga nei o mātou nei kōrero, ngā kare āroto o mātou nei haerenga i roto i tēnei ao o te ngaro tungāne i roto i te whakamomori. Aroha mai, can we prompt that question again?
So, we've spoken on the phone. We just spoke a little bit earlier around the point in time, I guess, we're willing to talk about right here, right now, in terms of like life after.
Yes.
Life after the loss. Like, what's that look like? Maybe starting around the first few weeks, the first few days or few months, whatever that might be. But I'm really interested to hear, or I think it would be insightful to hear what that process was like.
Yeah, I think originally it's a massive shock to the system, to the reality of your world. And where I was then to where I am now are two totally, completely different wahine, and sticking to life after, I think it was a different journey to me compared to my teina over here. I was kātahi anō ka muti au I te whare wānanga ki Waikato, and I had a vision of where my life was heading. And and then not even a month after the loss, I kōpū au. I fell pregnant. And so I had to put that mamae aside to focus on this taonga, kei roto i au. And it was quite detrimental actually in the long run, sitting here thinking about my story and my life in the last 4 years. Kei konei tēnei taonga, this blessing that I was blessed with so soon after a massive loss and heartbreak, that it was hard. It was hard to be happy, you know. It was hard to feel love, and but I had to. That's how I felt. I feel like, I can't focus on that because I have to do what's best for this new journey of mine, becoming a mama, creating my own little whānau. And that mamae I literally put aside. I had to move on faster than I wanted to, than I needed to. But it seeped in other ways. That mamae, it created a sort of a conflict in my decisions, and how I viewed people who only showed love, you know, their version of love, while also dealing with that mamae too. It was a rough, bumpy road for me, for myself after the loss. You just don't know how to feel. And I think also I had never lost anyone before. I had all my greats. I had greats still, great-grandparents, or kukuia kaumātua. I had my grandparents. I had all my siblings, my aunties and my uncles, my immediate, you know. I still had them still ki konei ki tēnei taha o te ao marama. And so I'd never lost anybody before. I was never truly whānau pani. And for kahi, or for my brother to be the first, you can't describe that sort of mamae. It was a blur, you know. It was a blur, that whole period, that whole first year, really, you know. And right up into birthing my baby, birthing my son, like every decision, okay, what are we going to name our baby? Me whakanui? You know, or how am I going to raise? There was that fear of, what if I fail? You know, all of those whakaaro around becoming a mum, you know, because I had dealt with that as a sister. You know, I had lost as a sister, but not as a mama, not as a makau, not as a nan, a papa. And so all of that more fear was coming in and seeping in, hinengaro nei a wairua, into my decision making.
So I'm hearing the moment, I guess, of that point in time, you know, receiving the news of the loss, and like just how much of a reset it was in your life around the direction, the vision you had, and then a whole year passes, and it's like it was a rush. It was you're reacting to stuff, you're responding to things, and then coming into te ao te mama, you know, te mai o te mama, and then what that meant for your experience. So e tino e marama ana ki tērā āhuatanga, cuz, and potentially bringing it to you, Maioha, around hearing Fetuao's experience. Like, were there similarities? Were there differences?
At the time, I couldn't really, you know, I was only just focusing on how I was feeling. Looking at it now, there were similarities, but it was more differences because we were heading, as she said, we're heading into two different parts of our lives. She'd already lived what I was about to, you know, go into, besides the grief. But I was just starting back at kura. You know, I was going back to high school, and, you know, I had to go back to my quote-unquote norm with this mamae attached to me, and it was quite hard to go on with because, you know, I'm back in the system. I'm with my mates. I'm surrounded by people that I'm always surrounded by again, and I'm in the system. And, you know, so I'm surrounded by people who couldn't feel my pain, and, you know, and that started a very lonely journey for me because I couldn't just put a smile on my face every day, and maybe, I don't know if fake is the word, but I couldn't fake how everyone else is feeling. I couldn't put that on myself and just keep going. You know, I had a mamae inside, but it was quite hard to navigate in kura, especially just as a year 11, you know, people be at kura starting, you know, cliques within friends and, you know,
trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah, trying to just figure everything out with my own life, and then to attach the mamae of losing a sibling on top of that. You know, it was very new because I was just starting to become aware of everything. You know, I hadn't fully matured, and that was a crucial time of learning for me, just without the grief. And then you put that on top, and I feel like looking back at it, it matured me quite quicker than I would have expected, and how, you know, you think about it, and most teenagers mature when it's right for them, but I had to mature in that moment because I was dealing with something so heavy on my mental state that a lot of people around me couldn't understand or even wrap their head around. So there were similarities, but I think, you know, because we have different lives and we were doing different things, so many differences as well. But yeah, her leading into her mama life and me just trying to make it through high school. It was,
Which is already, it's already difficult.
It's already hard.
Yeah,
it's already hard. You know,
What you do
tension
up.
with people and boys, you know, all of
Hey,
these
boys.
things.
Waiho ngā tamaia.
Yeah, you killed it. But yeah,
and,
just...
and sorry, because
No, whaia nā.
I'm just hearing, I guess, I really liked your point, cuz, around like the different experiences, whether it's a papa, it's mama, it's sister, it's you know, younger sibling, like it's all the equalizer, or that point is all the same, is the same, but everyone's experiences walking away from it can feel very different and can deal it in different ways. Is that something you see in the whānau?
Well, like the I think the mamae of loss is relative, right? Everyone feels it. I think it's the roles you play in that person's
different.
life and the role they played in yours. There's about a 10-year gap between me and Maioha, and even more with our brother for them. So he played that real big brother role, protector, best
For me,
friend, for I'm assuming for Maioha. And for me, like, it was that there's only 3 years difference, so we were together a lot in our upbringing. And, you know, there's the bullying, there's the childhood, you know, the childhood stories. There was a lot that we shared in comparison. And so although, you know, teina mātou, although we were sisters, there was different stories for how he was for us. His role in my life as a brother and his role in her life as a brother were different. But our mamae also isn't the same to a mama losing a son, a makau losing their love, a tamaiti losing their papa, or a papa losing their moko. You know, it's the loss and the shock of it is relative, but it really, that process of grief depends on your role and their role in your life. And so, and I saw that in the way that our whānau, where the stages we are in now, you know, it is still very raw for most, and us to a degree, but something our nan says is like, you know, kua wehe te mate, kei reira te mate, kua wehe. It's the living you have to worry about. And I guess coming into that mama role, for myself, it's not even just a mama, but now a tuakana. You know, I was always a tuakana, but a tuakana to my teina. It was making sure that my sibling felt heard, felt loved, felt supported, but also raising Maori, my tupu, my baby, and ensuring that he felt love. So it was a lot of love to give when all you were feeling was mamae, you know, having to put that hurt aside to give love. It's not easy, you know.
It is such a complex issue, because like you want to continue living this life, but you have to, again, I think as Maioha put it, you have to carry this weight. And I reflect on the point you raised outside, cuz, around the moments you allow yourself to feel it. Can you share a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, I think well, initially, right, it takes over. You have no control on when those moments, that mamae, that hurt, that grief,
present,
that guilt. Initially
Forefront,
it's always there, kei te tihi o ngā whakaaro. And it's weighing heavy on your ngākau all the time. But over time, over the years, it never goes away and it never really gets smaller. It's just you can carry it better, you know. But I allow myself days to really sit in it, to really miss him, to be angry, or so his birthday, you know, every year on his birthday I will dedicate that day for him, for the why, for the how. You know, we'll never know why. You never know why. Only they can answer that. But we can put puzzles, you know, we can put pieces of the puzzle together and have a why to kind of carry on. The how, the who, the what, the shoulda, woulda, coulda. I allow myself a day in the year to really sit in that. And it's worked so far, you know. It's a forever trial of finding processes. It doesn't stop there on that day. It's not like the feelings just come on that day and end on that day. It's just that I allow it to take over my tinana, toku ngākau, toku wairua, to really miss him, you know, to really sit with him and, you know, and that's, you don't get to do that every day. Although it's on your mind, more days than not, you don't get to just kind of be in that pōuri.
It's always, there's so much distractions, so many demands. And I think that's a really powerful kōrero, because around the, and not to get into the why of whoever, but it is admitting that it is unanswerable. This is it'll be a mystery for the rest of your lives moving forward. And also hearing about, you know, thinking about all these wider experiences, coming to you, Maioha, around, you know, this he mate ki roto i te whānau, but often the community wraps around or tries to help. Were there things that others were doing that were helpful and things that were unhelpful that you found when you're in that grieving mode?
For this instance, you know, my friends, you know, as much as they wanted to help, they couldn't understand certain, you know, because it is, at that time I was about, how old was I? 14, about to turn 15. You know, I was quite young when it happened. So my people weren't able to comprehend that nor understand how I was feeling. So it's not anything on them. They just, you know, it's something hard to swallow. And it's, if I had a friend who was feeling this way and was going through this and I wasn't, you know, I wouldn't know the first thing to do. So, but, you know, I did, to me, this is just my whakaaro, but after it had happened, you know, life after it, I really held on to my sister because, you know, she was, to me, the closest thing I had to him. So I would just stick to her like wherever she went, I'd follow. You know, I would constantly annoy her, like, can I come by you? I was never not with my sister, because with my whānau, you know, I feel him everywhere, but I mainly felt him when I was with her. So it was, our whānau, we wrapped around each other in certain ways, but I needed to be wrapped around my sister because I just felt, you know, and a lot of my memories were with her, you know, and I just needed my sister because she just made me feel, as she said, heard. And, you know, she always made space for my feelings, even though that, now I'm looking back at it, I was like, how did she do that? Because I couldn't, you know, I'm like, no, I'm hurting too. But she made space for how I was feeling, even though she was hurting too. She never made me feel excluded or, you know, disregarded, regardless of how she was feeling about it. So, yeah. I did have a other person, my other mate, but I was a bit scared to put things on them, you know, because it's quite heavy. It's
the burden part of it, that feeling.
I just didn't want to feel like, you know, I was just putting things on this person because it's a big weight. And, I think later on I did see, you know, when I would speak to some of my own people, I would see, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done that because I was putting heavy things on them. And But at that time, I was so young, I didn't realise it, and I was just trying to get some of the weight off because it was just...
Some relief, eh?
Yeah, just to get some relief. And I looked around at my whānau and I was like, yep, we're all going through it. But yeah, mainly the person that wrapped around me the most was my sister. And she was just... I wouldn't say the easiest, but I would, because it was just like, she was, you know, she's...
You both know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
just
both know.
understood. We didn't always have to talk about it. We just had to be around each other, and we both understood how we were feeling.
With you, Kaz, and maybe as another prompt question, did you ever find anyone trying to over-inject themselves into supporting or even pulling completely away?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think in the bigger picture of it all was a lot of us lost our bro, you know, and it didn't just impact us, it impacted, from his tangi, I didn't realise how many people he knew, you know, so I think everyone was dealing with their mamae at the time, and people pulling away. I was in a different phase of my life, you know, I'd been through the friends being your whānau phase, you know, I was in my darling was there, he was a constant and he was solid, you know, and so it wasn't so much people pulling away. I think it was dealing with the mamae and in our different ways and how it was coming out, you know, and yeah, I wouldn't say it was the best, the way that our whānau initially dealt with that shock and that mamae of it all, but you know, I'm a bit conscious on where I'm going to go with it, aroha mai. But what I did find was that campaigns didn't help. Seminars, suicide preventions didn't help, cuz, you know, what helped was people who went through it. You know, it's getting that kōrero ākanohi with that hands-on experience of their own kōrero, their own story, was what helped. Not sitting there and learning the science behind
The cognitive part of it.
That it just didn't fit with the level of grief I was at. Now, yeah, I'm in a state where it's like, oh, interesting, you know.
But it's really that heart to heart.
Yeah, it's that like, and that's probably where we could bond, right? And not just with us, as with our whānau, was that we could get into the deep of it. You know, you could get into those details, whereas you can't with people, one who unaware, who've never been through it, or just don't know.
Detached from it, eh? Like, it's really hard to speak into.
Yeah, what did help was definitely coming back into my own Māori. You know, coming back into kura kaupapa, kapahaka. Kapahaka is a big thing. It was one of the only places where I could let out all of those emotions safely in 30 minutes, you know, but it also kept my hinengaro and my tinana active in a healthy way. You know, you're learning a waiatatangi, you're learning about, and then you'd be surprised at how at the pūrākau and how common, you know, hakamomori or mate or those momo pūrākau were within our tūpuna, you know, so it was giving that generational trauma hand down but in a safe space, reconnecting with your ao Māori, listening to pūrākau, waiata, kapahaka, kura kaupapa. It just takes you away to out of yourself and what I'm feeling, and you can just kind of, you feel a bit free because you hear how common it is, or you can see a bit of a light every now and then, you know. And that was something that even we were talking about last night, was my sister, she felt there were times, sorry not to talk on your story, but times where she felt guilty for being happy.
Happy moments.
Happy moments, you know, and so soon after, you know, like even...
like almost like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
finding out I was pregnant.
Ooh.
Like, that was a beautiful, exciting moment, but like a month after, you know, losing somebody you love dearly, it was oh, should I be happy? Like, what, you know?
It kind of feels robbed, eh? Like the joy gets sucked out. It's
Definitely.
Like, no, because we're still in this space.
Definitely.
That's what I think what grief can do, eh?
Yeah.
And inside some of those feelings, like, because grief is such a messy, complex process. It's and it's enduring too. Like, it's not like a linear, you get to the stage and the stage, komutu, kaoi mea ka hurihari te ao. And inside that mess, I guess there's also other emotions, anger, frustration, regret. Is that stuff that you found coming up for you, Maioha, after the...
Anger, regret, yeah, there was a lot of things, but because when I think about what I would say to that is I was still quite young, so I couldn't really wrap my head around it all. But yeah, regret, I think, because it couldn't be helped. My thinking was, you know, I wish I was a bit older so I could understand how you know, they would feel. I wish I could, you know, I wish I was more aware of what's going on, and I wish I could have helped prevent, you know, all of these things that can't be helped. But anger, I think what I was angry about was being robbed of moments, robbed of, you know, memories, of making memories, robbed
future.
Yeah, and it's not in a ugly way, but I was quite, you know, I would always think, and I would hear from my sister her, you know, memories, and we spoke about that too last night. Because we both had memories, but, you know, I wasn't aware at the time. I was still quite young. And, you know, hearing about her memories and, you know, thinking about mine, that's probably the only thing I was angry about, because I can't really remember being angry. It was just the mamae that mainly took hold of me rather than Diddy. I was just angry that I'd been robbed of, you know, that person in my life, of the memories that could have potentially been made, of, you know, just being robbed of a sibling in every way. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it. Some people just kind of speak on that around there's two deaths. Te mate tuatahi, but then there's also the death of the potential of what could have been with this
exactly.
person. Do you have similar thoughts, Kaz, or experiences in that?
Yeah,
that
definitely.
messiness?
I even think about the word grief. Yaha tērā. What is grief? You know, is it just feeling those kariaroto deeply, in more than one at the same time, you know? In the process of grief, like, it's not that I think about him every day, you know. It's more when I'm at kaupapa, when we're at our marae, when I see potential positions that he would have excelled in, and in moments he's missing out on those who truly mattered to him, you know, and that's the feeling robbed of that potential, you know. You could have done that.
Yeah.
You would have been amazing at that. Well, you should be here.
Oh, that could have been
for
you.
this. That's that more potential loss type of mamae and whakaro that goes through my head, because you just know how, like, we just knew how amazing he was, and how he would have done amazing in those sort of fields, especially at the marae, if we're at a marae, or even now, like, with my babies being robbed of an uncle, you know, or who's going to take us on to the marae, you know, my darling's there, but, you know, he was that constant, that definite, you know, and just his role, you know, I guess it's different if you were to lose a sister to hakamomori, but a role of a tane, there's a lot of expectations there and responsibilities, you know. So, yeah, I guess all of those roles that he played and could have played and should have played is the mamae and that grief of loss of potential.
Also, I guess he mō mihi tēnei, because, like, kia kōrua I tēnei haerenga, because it's been 4 years since, and you're now in a place, you know, me originally reaching out saying, like, "Cuz, this is okay, are you open to it?" and then now being in this space, like, can you talk to a little bit around like what I imagine at the start would have been like, we're not talking about this. There's no way I'm going to talk about this, to now, oh, I'm in a podcast talking about this and my experience of it. What's that transition been like?
Well, yeah, initially you don't think about anybody else, you know. It took me a while, like even after i tā koha koe tēnei kaupapa ki au, you know, originally my thought went straight to Nan Papa, his tamariki, you know, like because of their roles in his life and vice versa. And it wasn't an easy decision. It's still not an easy decision being here, sitting here. I'm sitting here with nerves, you know, because kahi story isn't one that people don't know. You know, it's a well-known shock across the motu, especially here in Te Tai Tokero. A lot of people loved him and a lot of people loved who raised him. So there's a lot of eyes that come with just his pūrākau, his kōrero alone, you know, and so the fact that we're here talking about it on a public platform is scary, you know, but
it's growth, eh?
It is, and for me it showed growth in my healing and where I'm at. 4 years ago, would have laughed at you, probably blocked you, you know, but where I'm at now, ka tae te kite I ana mata, and how it can awhi those who are possibly in the same situation, and it's a bit warming knowing I'm not alone in that. We're not alone in this mamae, but it also, like I said, it enabled a conversation or conversations about the kaupapa that wouldn't have happened had this opportunity not arisen, you know. So I got to bring it up to my nana and papa, you know, and at the end of the conversation, I kata mātou, we were laughing about what he was like, you know, and who he was, and that's also coming back to where I'm at now with my stage of mamae and my grief, because then just wanted to be angry, and I did. I went on a tangent of being angry, and it seeped through my relationship, and that became toxic for a while, you know. And then now I'm at a wāhi where I don't want his legacy, his ingoa to be taboo. I'm at a space where I want to hear who he was now. You know, I get that we all mamae and what he did will forever be mamae, but tell me something I don't know. You know, it is hura kōhatu. I saw 100 people there, and I saw 100 different stories of him that I didn't know. Potentially 100 different photos that I've never seen. You know, I want to remember him for who he was now, and not what he done. Not just the act, because he was... He tangata tāhua, āroto ā waho.
He was.
You know,
He was a chocolate man.
He was a chocolate man, you know, but he was a beautiful brother. He was, you know, he was a beautiful brother to us, you know. Oh, you know, comes the sibling, the natural siblings' walls, you know, but he was beautiful. And I'm angry at the way he left, because that's tainted him and everything he was about. And it forever will, you know. And tēnā pēr ko tērā te utu o te haka momori, you know, e tahi wā, you know, or some parts. But he was cheeky. He was cheeky. He was a player. You know.
Probably cut that out.
But cut that out. I don't know. But he was cheeky, and he was beautiful, and he was loved, but also loving. You know, and I know wholeheartedly that if anyone was to come and tell me a story about him, it would be a good story. It'd be a funny one, but it wouldn't be about how kino or of a person he was, you know. And so that's where I'm at. And be different for other people in our whānau because of the role that he played. You know, I wanna kari te whakanui te hakamomori, but me whakarohia ki te mana o tērā tangata, you know, I mua I tērā mahi.
Kei noho tapu rawa e.
Yeah. And also maybe, I don't know, advice for people who are unaware of how to kind of have that conversation is read the person. Read the person and be aware of people outside of your own whakaro. That's probably something I took from losing my brother, our brother, Aroha mai, from losing our brother was, I was so in my own world, my own goals, my own
Era.
myself,
Everything.
you know, everything about myself that I regret possibly was if I had just been a bit more out of myself and a bit more aware of what was in front of me, you know, but I do that now. You know, that's a lesson I've taken now. I'm aware of everybody around me. I'm constantly reading the room. I'm constantly ensuring that, and it's not like to people please, but it's just to kind of
Presence.
gauge, being present. Being present is probably the gift that I got from hakamomori. Being present.
But jump over to you, Maioha, around the maybe as our closing kind of kōrero, because purposing, I guess, this particular kōrero to help whānau who are either in it right now or are coming out of it. What would be your words of advice, your kupu aki to support, to tautoko whānau who might be going through these similar struggles?
That's pātai pai. What is some good advice? I suppose exactly what Wal said. I will say it again, you know, just be more present and to the whānau that I have already gone through and are trying to, you know, overcome it, you know, like Wal,
Oh no, I don't know.
sorry, I was what really helped me was kapa haka, like Wal did, and, you know, one thing that might get side-eyed or, you know, not really thought upon because it's can be a Pākehā concept or looked at as a Pākehā thing was therapy. That really helped me with overcoming a lot of my mamae was therapy, and I think my parents were putting me through that. At the time I was like, that's something a Pākehā would do, and it was quite different for me, but I feel like if you just took the time and, you know, really gave it back to yourself, gave that aroha and that awhina back to yourself, and you really worked on yourself, you know, you could overcome it. And that's a big thing to say to whānau who are going through it, because back then, you know, I thought I was never going to get over it. But with time comes growth and healing, and, you know, me and my sister did evolve from that mamae, and we're still going through it now. But yeah, just take time for yourself, do little things that make you happy, self-love, self-care. Yeah, it can be a wahine thing, but, you know, if it's for everyone, just take time for yourself, give back to yourself.
Yeah, can I take to
No,
add to
sorry.
that? Advice. Couple. There's a couple for me. It would be around, please learn from it. Learn from it. If you're, you know, initially it's okay to take that mamae and to be, I guess, reckless in a sense, but take that mamae and fuel it to make good decisions, to be a better person over, you know, across time. Like if you're using that mamae and using it as a reason to be kino or te mea along those lines, nothing good is going to come from it. You know, I'm always coming back to my babies because they're my saving grace. And hoki mai ki tō ao Māori. Me nā Māori koe hoki mai, you know, because there is a lot of healing in everything that we do, right down to learning the kupu. You know, really understanding. If you don't understand te reo Māori, you don't truly understand the meaning of manaaki, aroha. You know, those those aren't just words that we say, that they become who we are and how we present ourselves. And if you're staying in mamae, if you're staying in that mamae, that's all you're going to be putting out there, you know. So delegate some days in the year where you can be those. It's not even ugly or kino whakaro, it's just, that's what comes. That voice in your head, you know. Allow that voice in your head to just be right for a day, but come out. You know, and I think that if people who have done hakamomori, if they were to know that everyone has those yucky whakaro, everyone has that voice in their head that tells them they ain't it. If everyone realised that that happens for a moment, a small moment, and then it passes, you know, that could probably save a lot of people's lives, that emotional regulation. Learn it and be aware of your karearoto. Those are all advice that I would take, that I would give, that I'm taking this opportunity to give. Emotional regulation is what probably people lack when they're feeling as low as that. They probably think that this is it. Is this it? And I'm alone. No one else feels this way, but Kyle, I you know, you'd be lying if you if some, if not all, haven't thought of hakamomori at least once in their life, you know. But that moment passes, and you get through it and you carry on. So, ko tērā tōku mō tēnei kaupapa, you know. But yeah, most importantly, please put your babies first. The healing comes with it because they're so innocent. They are only love, and they only need love. You know, so if you're giving love in that mamae state, it's gonna come back in different forms. And so that's how I feel about the kaupapa now. You know, yeah, kia ora. He's never gonna go away.
Yeah, he is.
He's never gonna go away, and that's why I urge people now to take away the taboo of what he done and bring forward the funny memories you have of him, because he was funny.
His name's not a swear word, eh?
No, not at all. It's not tapu. You know, it's
not a sad thing.
but everybody had their experience with losing him, so in their own time. But yeah, I think eventually move past what he done and who he was. And he ain't going anywhere anytime soon. And you know, I feel him, and you know, and that's he kaupapa anō tērā, te taha wairua. You know, and that's been a whole journey in itself. You know, especially for me. So. I don't know. I don't want to talk on that. I'm not ready for that te taha wairua, but that's probably something. Atona wā to it's different for everybody, but I believe in it. Ke konei tonu ia a wairua. And I know that because when I'm in emotional turmoil in my head,
you'll hear him.
I come out wrong. And I'm like, if I'm wrong, this ain't me. I'm telling you, I'm right. You know, but I'm being told that I'm wrong.
Who's talking right now?
Yeah. So, yeah, he kōrero anō tērā, he kaupapa anō te taha wairua, and and I miss him. I miss him so much. We miss him. And if he had just known,
just how much he was loved by us.
Just who he was and how much he mattered. He mattered, and he still does, you know. And yeah, just to whakakapi, there's no greater mahi to do in his name than to be there for his tamariki, for his uri. That's why I say, and I will end, put your tamariki first.
Inunga anō I tērā kōrero tahi o tātou. kaha mihi ana kia kōrua aku whanaunga, me tēnei haringa nui, tēnei haringa pakeke, tēnei haringa kore rawa e mutu. Engari, e mihi ana kia kōrua, kua kōkiri i tēnei tepe tuatahi, tēnei tapuwai tuatahi, ki roto i tēnei wālanga o tātou nui. Kaha mihi ana kia kōrua, kia mau tonu ki ngā whakaaro ki te awairua, kia ki mai anō ki tēnei taha o te ārai, kia tō mai ko ngā manaakitanga o te wāhi ngaro, kia wātea, kia mahia, kia puta, kia ura, ki te awhai au ki te amarama, e ke panuku, e ke tangaro, haramai te toki, haumi e hui e.
Tai ki e.